What's up everybody, BDF 44 coming at you in another video. So I saw that on one of my therapy sessions somebody had commented that everybody in America is strapped, so ain't nobody gonna come over here and do nothing to us because we all got guns. We have got to expand our minds to the possibilities of things that are beyond what it is that we're thinking, and we think like that. Because believe you me, a terrorist attack ain't got nothing to do with no guns, bro. When a dude comes through with a bomb strapped to his chest, ain't nothing that bullet that you shooting at him gonna do. When a person's intent on doing some kamikaze stuff, it ain't nothing you can do about that. Flying planes into buildings, I don't know what world an individual is coming from when they say that their guns are gonna stop a terrorist attack. I don't know what world you living in, bro, but you ain't from the one I'm from. So that's the first thing I want to say in this video. The second thing I want to say is free Palestine for sure. My last video was all over the place, man, but I definitely prayed about what I said before and after, and I'm leaving that video right there, and I encourage you all to see it. At the end of the day, my frustration knows no end, and that is the end of that. That's just where it begins and it ends, man. I'm seeing so much suffering in my phone. I ain't seen more suffering in my phone since we last spoke, and I'm following it. I'm not looking away. I refuse to look away, no matter how horrifying these images are, no matter how desensitized I may feel. And watching all of this is deteriorating a lot of what it is that I think is best for my mindset. But I just feel like, in honor of those who can't look away, I'm looking away. I'm following more and more people, and I'm not looking to gain anything. I'm not asking these people to send me anything. I don't, you know what I mean? I'm seeing a lot of support coming my way on Instagram, and I just want people to understand that I just care, you know what I mean? I don't have to be a father to care about children, you know. I'm just wired that way. And I really want to see everybody succeed, and I know that I benefit a great deal from a lot of this suffering as a Westerner. I know this. And I don't feel guilty for that because I didn't choose it and wouldn't have chosen it. All I can do is, from within this place of privilege, is to tell people that I don't co-sign the bull crap. And that in sacrificing whatever would need to be sacrificed to ensure that you have your freedom, I'll drop all of it. I'll drop all of it. There are a lot of people in this country that do not benefit. There are homeless people all over the city I'm in right now that are living in tents that aren't getting what they would otherwise need in the richest country in the world. A country that stands on the backs of massacres such as these. It doesn't even have the decency to feed everyone with the plunder that they steal from these other countries. They will allow a good portion of their country to go without so that we can continue to be in a position where few rise to the top and be ever so wealthy, while the rest are just down here to sweat in the hot sun or freeze in the cold winter. And we're rocked to sleep by our culture. We're rocked to sleep by what it is that we're distracted by. We're rocked to sleep by our own sin, where we deteriorate the images of some and push out the natives of the land that we're in, and rise at whatever level of success we can find within this capitalistic, cheating ass society. People sell their souls, and in doing so they become examples or distractions or just flat out bad leaders. I'm told I'm supposed to be a patriot, love my country, and there's a lot of good people here, including myself. So I don't doubt this place is manufactured greatness from within the concrete. We have so many wonderful individuals that have come about, not just the evil ones and the indifferent ones. There's a lot of good folks here too. Praying people, good children, good mothers, strong spirited individuals. They're here. They've lived and they continue to in a lot of cases, which is why I plead to those who are suffering to consider that when they dream of destroying this place. Know that there are people who are dreaming of rebuilding what has been destroyed in your life, and I am one of them. I don't know what good that does when you see the propaganda machine working overtime and people are supporting people who are doing evil while standing on stolen land doing so, eating while others starve right outside their doorsteps. This place is made the worst of a lot of people that would otherwise not be that way if not for being coached into it over generations of time. And the only thing that's brought me to an understanding that I don't want to be that way is seeing so much of these crimes in my phone over the last several days. Though I had a notion I didn't want to be like that, now I really deeply do not want to be like that. A lot of the cultures that I refer to, I've enjoyed over the years. Been distracted by video games and music and various different things that I think have been great art pieces, but really do take away from the time spent. I could have been meditating and learning and thinking independently. I know a lot of that art actually gave me some of the ideas that I've used today to kind of go into the direction I want to go. So not all of it was bad or useless. But trying to sort through it when you're thinking like I am right now, it ain't a whole lot that you can see that you like there. I've been meditating for the last 35 minutes or so, maybe a little longer than that, off and on, from looking at my phone and seeing all that's there to see. It's understanding I'm an artist too. But see, the difference between me and a lot of the artists is I'm not intertwined by a contract that's going to keep me wealthy, or the notion that I need connections, so I bet not say certain things. I don't care for that. I'm in poverty now for my level of where I'm at, so I really don't give a damn about losing anything. I am the factory from which my art comes from. I don't need a soul. None of them. I want to be attached to people that God put in my life. I want to be attached to people that God is blessing, not just any old body who happens to have some connection to this or that. And that's why I don't have a whole lot in this capitalistic society, because quite honestly, I reject it as it pertains to what it takes to let certain spirits around you with certain energy, and they take from you and give what they want you to have while siphoning from you, and get screwed over, and it turns you into someone screwing other people over, and it's just understood that you screw people over, and you forget that there's a God who doesn't want any of us to do any of that. Even people who say they believe in God, they don't actually follow him to a T, because they're too busy trying to get along with the people who get along with them, and we got to get in there, so now we got to fit in, and once we fit in, then we got to uniform ourselves so everybody look at us a certain way, and if not, we get judged. And it's like, I don't care for your judgment. I was telling my friend Bronze that earlier today. I don't care for your judgment. I'm an open book. I want you to know what it is that I'm here to do. By the time I surmise how your judgment goes, I probably already have done what I needed to do. That's how I'm wired. Too many people worried about people judging them. Your thoughts are in your head just like any other thought in your head. You also got to deal with your demons. You got to deal with your confusion. You got to deal with this propaganda out here. You got to deal with all this different stuff. Human beings are just that. Dealing with different stuff, and that for me to worry about what's going on in your head as if you're not going to forget something, or if you're not going to, as if you're not going to find yourself changing your mind. It doesn't make any sense for me to even hang on to an idea that's going to be fleeting in your head about who I am and what you think about what I got going on as it pertains to different things that I'm not even ashamed of. Like me speaking out against nonsense that I know is propaganda. Trying to fit in with people who don't even understand what is coming for them. No different than I don't know what's coming for me. Why am I worried about their opinions when I can just connect to the source from which they all come from? And that's my point. And connect to the source and then report back to you. That's where I want to be. That's who I want to be from here on out. The key is not angering him by doing things I have no business doing myself. I asked the Lord to keep me out of circumstances, and what came to me is that you take whatever I give you. That's what the Lord told me. Because at the end of the day, if you know what he's about, then you know if he's going to give you something, it's either for your benefit or to make you stronger, which is also to your benefit, or something that's going to propel you into a space where you have more options than you've ever had, or propel you into a space where you have less options than you would ever need, because a lot of the things we would choose are no good for us indeed. I'll take whatever the Lord gives me, because at the end of the day, that's what I've initially asked him for. Gifts of a divine nature of his choosing, because I don't know what comes with what. So when I asked him not to allow me to find myself in certain circumstances, I just got to remember that what I'm asking him to do is something that probably ain't what's best for me if it's not attached to what it is that he wants me to have. But what troubles me is seeing so many people calling out to God in their suffering and not receiving what they need in that moment. That's to walk away from them thinking that they never got it. That's false. God works on his own time in all of our lives, and everything we go through, he has equipped us to be equipped for. And the strength that a lot of people are showing in their suffering just shows me that they're going to be an example of how to get through mine. How to be a leader, how to call on God through the good and the bad, how to show mercy to others in circumstances where I otherwise want revenge, how to stand up for myself when I otherwise would be afraid. Those are the examples I refuse to turn away from, because I see that in my phone, not just the gore and the nastiness that comes from these evil atrocities taking place, but the strength in the eyes of the people who are suffering. And the notion that God is coming after the phone goes off, after the camera cuts off, that their prayers are going to be answered in a different way, and they too will have a day to smile, or at least some relief to their nonsense, where they'll be in heaven with their loved ones once again. That's where my head goes when I see these things. And then something else came to me. The correlation between the peace of being with the Lord. All of the babies that we see are no longer with us, are now with him. While we suffer the ills of them no longer being here, and the bereavement of our own feelings and the emptiness of them being gone forevermore, they are with the Lord forevermore. In circumstances where their suffering doesn't exist anymore. Babies who are gone, toddlers, adolescents, teens, I've seen it all in this phone over the last 10 days, as I'm sure many of you have, although many haven't, which is disturbing in and of itself, that so many haven't seen what I've seen and still think that this is what Western media tells you it is. It is not that. They are compromised to no end, and at this point that is a natural fact. But since you and I have seen these things, or I've seen these things, maybe you haven't, there's something to be said for now, the lifeless being with the Lord, that they're now living everlasting life with new bodies in greater surroundings, without bombs bursting, without pain in their bodies, without people crying all around them and suffering all around them. They get to play again. They get to smile again. And the Lord will supplement whatever would be missing that's left behind. Family members, mommies, and daddies that are still alive, the Lord is with them so they do not suffer those ills that these mommies and daddies would have to in these circumstances. They don't. That's not just what I believe, it's what I felt. It's what I know. Many will wonder if there's a heaven. I've been told. So what I'm telling y'all is, there's two sides to this. And it just depends on what spirit you're in when you see it. There's the side to this that sees this like a horror show, which it is. And there's a side to you which understands that every dead person you're seeing there is with the Lord. That their suffering is not in existence in this plane anymore. That their freedom is now in place. And that's what we have to remind ourselves when we see these little babes that are no longer with us in this camera, and this phone. We have to remember that we are the ones suffering the ills of them being gone. They are in a space where there are no ills at all, no pain at all, no suffering at all, no crying at all, no wailing out to God against these ills at all. They are protected in the arms of the Lord. None of these children deserved anything less than heaven for their afterlives. Now, some of us, different story. Some of the adults, I can't tell you that. But the babes, the little ones, they go straight to heaven. So that's a little bit of comfort that I want to provide people that came from my meditation. It's the enemy that wants us to see horror only when viewing these images. But there is a great deal of love in heaven for those entities that are no longer in the living bodies that they were given. They're in a space of infinite love. And the passageways, so to speak, of going through life to heaven is no different than going through the birth canal and coming into earth itself. I believe God can do with our spirits what he chooses. If he were to return us back to earth, those are secrets I don't have answers for. Reincarnation, I don't have answers. I don't know. I really don't understand or know. That's not one of the things that I've been told at all. Just that there's a heaven. And it's reserved for all of us who are worthy, I suppose, would be the word. Worthy would be the word I would say. That's how I would like to take in what it is that I see when I look at what I'm seeing on my camera, on my phone rather, on IG. It's a lot of it, man. I was trying to explain that to Bronzy today. I know she hasn't seen what I've seen. She sounds like me a few weeks ago when I was saying on both sides, yes, both sides, yes, yes. But when you have an understanding of what it is that is now in my face, having studied a little bit and seen all that there is to see, you just have a different context from which to work when talking about these conversations. You understand that the wool is now no longer over your eyes about the evils that have been accepted for a long time in regards to different things. It's only both sides because we don't allow ourselves to view that evil for what it actually is in our Western way of thinking. It is accepted that a lot of crimes just simply go unpunished, that history is told by those who win, and that good is defined by the laws we are under But that is not a perfect science at all. And tomorrow is coming for some of those circumstances that have been told. That there are secrets that are going to be revealed to us by way of things that people didn't know were being tallied over the years. And a lot of these different things that were supposedly told by the winner told the history. The winner didn't know what was being kept and passed down in secret. Stories that told hints of where we were from before we became who we are, and how you can match those same stories to different people in different places to tell you exactly who is who and who is what. That history that he thought was lost, it wasn't lost. It was just simply needed for the right people to be able to mix and match what it is that ultimately is there. The ancestors told a story about this going on back in the day, and their ancestors over on the other side of the world told a story about that same thing. How would they both know those same stories if not coming from the same place initially, originally? These are the type of things that those who told the story of history didn't know were happening. They didn't know that the ancestors were keeping a tally of everything and passing it down through folklore stories, if for no other reason than just be familiar to those who would otherwise put them together. And now, we can start telling some of our stories that were supposedly lost. You can start seeing who really did what. That's what Hebrews to Negroes is all about. It's about the notion of that being now understood. And many didn't want you to know that. They'll tell you it's some anti-this, anti-that. No. It was just the notion that we could look at somebody from one side of the globe and take their ancestors' history, and then look at someone on the other side of the globe and take their ancestors' history and the little folklore stories that they told, and find out they were kin. And when you start studying them, then you start understanding who is who and who is not. That's all it was ever about. History is not to be run from. The atrocities and things that have happened that we benefit from, it's not to be continued to be tumbled forward as if this is fine, or as that we can continue to build this way. We can't. A lot of people are going to try to defy that because they believe that what they have in store is in stone. But what I'm telling you is, it's shaky, because a lot of it is only kept together by the notion that people are going to be distracted. A lot of what we benefit from is only because they can sway people in a certain direction that doesn't cause change. And what I'm telling you is the foundation of that is no longer stable. I believe that a lot of people who want that to be stable need for God not to exist in order for what they're looking at to make any damn sense. And unfortunately for them, he does. He loves lot of people choose their words wisely. They're very careful not to say the wrong thing, to offend the wrong anyone, or they want to make sure they're on the right side of history. I was listening to Acho's conversation with a lady who was and if you don't know who Acho is, he's a sports analyst on Fox Sports. And he has a show online, YouTube. He says, it goes something along the lines of uncomfortable conversations with Acho. I don't know his first name, but he says his full name there. And he sat down with a lady who was, she was actually from California, but her roots are from Palestine. Her parents are Palestinian. And it was a great conversation, but one of the things he was saying was, both sides of this conflict are essentially telling him to be on the right side of history. Make sure you're on the right side of history. Make sure you're on the right side of history. I want to say that the only side of history I want to be on is the side of those babes. I do not care for these conflicts. I do not care for occupied land and the entitled to feel safe while others are suffering in that case. I do not care for that. I'm a product of that, and I don't like it. So I definitely don't like it when I see it elsewhere either. But if what you need for you to be confident in your safety is for these atrocities to take place, I do not care for you. And I don't think the world should either. God loves you, but not what you do. And what you benefit from is wrong. And you gotta find another way to live, just like we do here. I don't like that we use Africa the way that we do. I don't like it that we have to keep on pillaging that country for us in order for us to enjoy our comfort and our land and all the different technology and all that stuff. I don't like that. I really don't like that. It's a lot of things that we benefit from. We like the peace of our lives. We like the peace of how we move in this country as freely as we do. But as I've already mentioned at the beginning of the video, there are too many homeless people in this country for us to see that as a perfect science. There are too many people who don't have anything here for us to see that as an actual benefit to its citizens. There are too many people homeless here for us to think that anybody, or rather everybody, is benefiting from that. They ain't. I want all my international friends to know that there are many, many, many people who don't benefit from none of the suffering that you are going through. They too are suffering in their own way. This country discards of its own just like it discards of yours. The Western world discards of its own in other countries, I'm sure. But because of the advent of the internet, a lot of what it is that was stable is no longer. They could try to turn the lights off on the internet, but a lot of damage is already done. They could try to censor people, keep us, isolated from one another, try to turn off the internet, turn off the lights, try to bomb us back into the Stone Age, whatever they gonna try to do. At the end of the day, the truth is out about a lot of that stuff that they do. It's just a matter of everybody starting to learn what that truth is and come to understand that it is available to them by way of the circumstances that we've already discussed, by way of conversations that are available to you from the people that you would otherwise stay away from. Politics of us of this country, keep people who are brown and black away from one another, white and black away from one another, Asian and white away from one another, etc. It's all different types of stuff that's meant to separate us. And we've been rocked to sleep by it for many generations, so we just think it's the way it goes. People need to start opening their eyes and understand that we have a common enemy, and if we know what we're doing, we'll have a common goal. Everybody wants to make sure that theirs is right. I'm right, I'm right, I'm right, I'm right. My religion's right, my people are right. We're gonna... No. No. Because you got a common enemy, as I've said many times. Same thing that's trying to destroy you is trying to destroy me, no matter who you are. All humankind. This is spiritual warfare, whether you believe in spirituality or not. My name is BDF 44. I thank you all for watching. I'm out.